everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am bringing you a book haul from the month of June. So let's dive right in. As always, starting with new books, as in brand new books, moving into books that I've picked up secondhand, and there's quite a disparity in piles today. Fewer books that are brand new, as is always the case. Well, most of the time the case. And then I've had a bit of a spree. Okay, let's jump straight in. The first book that I picked up in June, well, I didn't pick it up first, but the first book I'm going to tell you about is The Secret Diaries of Charles Ignatius Sancho by Paterson Joseph. This is a book I picked up because it had been on my wish list and it came up at a good price, so I was able to get it relatively cheaply. On the back it says, it's for fans of the miniaturist, which I have read and really enjoyed, so that's a good sign, and The Confessions of Franny Langton, which I haven't read. So this is historical fiction. It says, meet Charles Ignatius Sancho. His extraordinary story, hidden for 300 years, is about to be told. I had little right to live, born on a slave ship where my parents both died, but I survived, and indeed, you might say, I did more. It's 1746, and Georgian London is not a safe place for a young black man, especially one who has escaped slavery. After the twinkling lights in Fleet Street coffee shops are blown out and the great houses have closed their doors for the night, Sancho must dodge slave catchers and worse. The man he hoped would help, a kindly duke who taught him to write, is dying. Sancho is desperate and utterly alone. So how does Charles Ignatius Sancho meet the king, write and play highly acclaimed music, become the first black person to vote in Britain, and lead the fight to end slavery? It's time for him to tell his story, one that begins on a tempestuous Atlantic Ocean and ends at the very centre of London life. And through it all, he must ask, born amongst death, how much can you achieve in one short life? Which sounds great. So yeah, I'm excited to have that one in my collection ready to read. Another book that I picked up new is Endling by Reva. This is blurbed by Anne Patchett and Percival Everett, so that's quite a recommendation. Who did I hear talking about this? I was watching somebody's video on BookTube. They mentioned this book. I don't think they had read it yet, but they were thinking about it. And I'll put it on the screen if I can think of who it was that was talking about it. But I immediately went and bought it. So it just sounded so good. Okay, it says, it's an unforgettable debut novel about the journey of 3 women and one extremely endangered snail through contemporary Ukraine. Yeva is a maverick scientist who scours the country's forests and valleys, trying and failing to breed rare snails, while her relatives urge her to settle down and start a family of her own. What they don't know, Yeva already dates plenty of men, not for love, but to fund her work, entertaining Westerners who come to Ukraine on guided romance tours, believing they'll find docile brides untainted by feminism. Nastia and her sister, Solomia, are also entangled in the booming marriage industry, posing as a hopeful bride and her translator, while secretly searching for their missing mother, who vanished after years of fierce activism against the romance tours. So begins a journey of a lifetime across a country on the brink of war, 3 angry women and a truck full of kidnapped bachelors, and Lefty, a last of his kind snail with one final shot at perpetuating his species. This just sounds like a romp, and I'm here for it. I'm excited to read it. It's a brand new release, I believe. Another book that I picked up new was One Woman Show by Coulson, and this one says, prized, collected and critiqued, One Woman Show revolves around the life of Kitty Whittaker, as she is defined by her potential for display and moved from collection to collection through multiple marriages. Coulson, who has written hundreds of exhibition wall labels for the Metropolitan Museum of Art, precisely distills each stage of Kitty's sprawling life into that distinct format. Every brief snapshot in time, a wry reflection on womanhood, ownership, value, and power. Described with wit, poignancy and humour over the course of the 20th century, Kitty emerges as an eccentric heroine who disrupts her privileged porcelain life with both major force and minor transgressions, as human foibles propel each what is going on with my reading today? Delicately crafted text. Coulson playfully asks, who really gets to tell our stories? So this one's quite fun because it is literally written as wall labels, like the parts of her life would be, you know, on a museum, in a museum. So yeah, that sounds like a really interesting format. Also, interesting format, and I would say we're moving now into kind of a non-fiction-y space here. I've got A Book of Days by Patti Smith. So Patti Smith is, I guess, rose to fame in the 70s as a musician, but she also likes to take photos, and this is a little photo book of basically over the course of a year. I believe she took a photo every single day for a year, kind of thing. Maybe 366. So within a calendar year, A Book of Days presents 366 miniature windows and dispatches into the world of the visionary writer, poet and performer. An inspirational map of a life devoted to art, a timeless offering day by day for deeply uncertain times. So I'm going to look forward to reading through that, because I believe, yeah, there's little captions, and it's like a daily devotional. So I might even do this one as like, maybe I'll sit and look at it through, you know, in a couple of sittings, but maybe I'll do it like a daily devotional kind of thing. So yeah, that should be good to look through. The last of the brand new books is Care Work, Dreaming Disability Justice by Leah, Lakshmi, Piepzna-Samarasinha. I'm sure I have said that name incorrectly, so I apologize for that. I heard somebody talking about this, and I can't remember who it was. Maybe it might have been on Instagram rather than on YouTube. But basically I saw some quotes from this, and I was immediately captivated by the writing of the quotes that I saw, and looked into it and was very keen to get a copy. So it says, in this collection of essays, Lambda Literary Award-winning writer and longtime activist and performance artist, author name, which I'm not going to try and say again, explores the politics and realities of disability justice, a movement that centres the lives and leadership of sick and disabled queer, trans, black and brown people with knowledge and gifts for all. Care Work is a mapping of access as radical love, a celebration of the work that sick and disabled queer people of colour are doing to find each other and to build power and community, and a toolkit for everyone who wants to build radically resilient, sustainable communities of liberation where no one is left behind, which sounds good to me. Powerful and passionate, Care Work is a crucial and necessary call to arms. So it just sounded really good, and I'm looking forward to diving into the essays and doing some learning and reimagining of how things could be. Okay, let's move on to the second-hand portion of the video. I'm going to continue on with non-fiction, and then we'll move into some classics and then into fiction to finish us off. So I picked up Nora Ephron's I Feel Bad About My Neck and Other Thoughts on Being a Woman. I already own a Nora Ephron book, the name of which escapes me, Heartburn, which is her fiction, but this one is, I believe, essays, if I'm not mistaken. So it says, you can put makeup on your face and concealer under your eyes and dye on your hair. You can shoot collagen and Botox and Restylane into your wrinkles and creases, but short of surgery, there's not a damn thing you can do about a neck. Acclaimed Hollywood screenwriter and director Nora Ephron, so she directed When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail. You've Got Mail is one of my favourite movies of all time. I'll just put that out there. Anyway, I've got a lot of time for Nora Ephron. on that account. Anyway, she turns her sharp powers of observation onto her own life as she examines the indignities of being a certain age for a woman of the baby boom generation. Filled with wickedly witty autobiographical pieces like I Hate My Handbag, Blind as a Bat, and What I Wish I'd Known, this book offers the consolation that no matter how much your neck sags, your boobs droop, your skin wrinkles, and your children don't appreciate you, someone else has been there first. So I'm looking forward to getting into that one at some point. This is a book that has been on my radar because of the Women's Prize for Nonfiction, and so when I found a copy of it secondhand, I picked it up. So it's called Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller. Now, I did try a chapter of this and I wasn't overly excited about it, but I've heard more, and since then heard more and more people talking about it and being excited about it and really enjoying it. So I'm thinking I might give it another chance. But this is basically about, so this is essays intertwining kind of history with personal experience, if that makes sense. So Lulu Miller is writing about her own journey learning about this guy whose name is David Starr Jordan, and he was a 19th century taxonomist with a passion for pinning down unruly fins, dissecting shimmering scales, and sealing discoveries into jars of ethanol. So I believe there's something to do with her father about this too. Like, I think he was an idol of her father's. So she starts getting into this guy, starts doing her research, learning more about him. So initially it's kind of this, she's also kind of idolizing this man, and then she finds out some stuff about him that's less savory, I think. And yeah, there's more to the story. There's a bit of darkness there, and I think it sort of becomes this, like, I guess a humanization of an idol, if that makes sense. But also we get to learn about this guy's research and what he was trying to do. So that's exciting. Let me just move this pile. But yeah, anyway, I'm excited to read that book. That is an exciting book to have now in my collection, because it means I can pick it up whenever I'm ready. The last of the non-fiction is The Hate Race by Maxine Beneba Clarke, which is a memoir. She's an Australian writer of African descent. I cannot remember specifically. Does it say? I can't see it saying specifically which country in Africa her family background is, but basically she grew up in a white middle class suburb of Melbourne, I believe. So it says suburban Australia, sweltering heat, 3-bedroom blonde brick, family of 5, beat up Ford Falcon, Vegemite on toast. Maxine Beneba Clarke's life is just like all the other Aussie kids on her street, except for this one glaring, inescapably obvious thing. From one of Australia's most exciting writers and the author of the multi-award winning Foreign Soil comes a powerful, funny, and at times devastating memoir about growing up black in white middle class Australia. So yeah, this obviously sounds amazing. And I've heard good things. I don't know that I've actually read anything by her, but I have a couple of things in my collection now, so I really should get on to reading her. Okay, moving on now to a couple of classics. I won't tell you the synopsis of these because they're classics, but I got a copy of a Shakespeare, Cymbeline. I'm not really familiar with this play, but I'm looking forward to it. And one of the great things about the Oxford World's Classics editions of his plays is that they have really extensive notes. So, when the language gets a little bit obscure because of, the passage of time and it's not how we talk anymore, there's a lot of explanation in there, so that should be helpful. I picked up an also Oxford World's Classics copy of Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell. I haven't ever read any Elizabeth Gaskell. I know she wrote North and South. I'm not sure what else she wrote. This also includes, I'm just seeing now in the contents page, there's a rough draft of Mary Barton as well. So it looks like there's going to be some... I need to see this. Oh, okay. It's kind of like an outline of the novel, like an early outline of what's going to happen in the novel. That's cool. That's a very cool addition. Anyway, I'm looking forward to at some point picking this up, but as with all classics, I'm happy for them to sit there in my collection and for me to pick them up when the time feels right. So I'm never in a massive rush to read a classic. I'm always just happy to have it and to have it there so that when the moment is right. For example, maybe something will come up related to that specific book. I've got a copy, I can read it straight away. I love that sort of thing. Or like if I'm just thinking about it, what classic do I want to read? The other classic that I picked up is Hard Times by Charles Dickens. This is a kind of cool edition. It's got French flaps and it's got deckled edges. So it was more, I guess, I'm not a massive fan of Charles Dickens, although I do love A Christmas Carol. But I haven't, everything else I've kind of tried of his I haven't loved, but I've got this now to maybe give a go to, and it's not super long. This one is less than 300 pages, so maybe it's one that I could have a try out. Let me know if you've got any Dickens recommendations down in the comments. Okay, the rest of this haul is just going to be fiction, secondhand fiction. So I picked up a copy of Lanny by Max Porter. Again, Max Porter is someone I haven't read anything from, but I've heard good things. Not far from London, it says, there is a village. This village belongs to the people who live in it and to those who lived in it hundreds of years ago. It belongs to England's mysterious past and its confounding present. It belongs to families dead for generations and to those who have only recently moved here, such as the boy Lanny and his mum and dad. But it also belongs to dead Papa Toothwort, who has woken from his slumber in the woods. Dead Papa Toothwort, who is listening to them all. So that sounds kind of cool. So I now have that one. Another kind of big book from last year is Julia, which is a retelling of 1984. So you can see that. There it is. So George Orwell's 1984, but from the perspective of Julia, who's kind of the woman that the main character interacts with in 1984. This is by Sandra Newman. That's probably all I need to say in terms of the plot, really. But it's, yeah, I think an interesting perspective because of the way that the original is very much from the perspective of the man. Excuse me while I have a little sip of my tea. This mug my husband found at a secondhand store. It's really big, but it has a thin lip, which I like. But on the side of it it's like a little bookshelf, and they're all women writers, a lot of classics, etc. And so he gave it to me. Well, via the cats. As a gift from the cats, he gave it to me. Okay, let's continue on. We've only got a couple more to go. This is the Swan book by Alexis Wright. So I have very mixed feelings about Alexis Wright. I have read her book Tracker and I loved it. I have read her book Praiseworthy and I hated it. So how will I feel about the Swan book? I don't know. But this is a backlist title for her that I have not yet read. So yeah, it's not her big book. Her big book is Carpentaria, as in her most successful book, I would say. Although Praiseworthy won a whole bunch of stuff. So anyway, this is another of the books in her backlist. And there is no synopsis. Oh, here we go. The Swan book is set in the future with Aboriginal people still living under the intervention in the north, in an environment fundamentally altered by climate change. It follows the life of a mute young woman called Oblivia, the victim of gang rape by petrol-sniffing youths from the displaced community where she lives in a hulk in a swamp filled with rusting boats, and thousands of black swans, to her marriage to Warren Finch, the first Aboriginal President of Australia, and her elevation to the position of First Lady, confined to a tower in a flooded and lawless southern city. The Swan book offers an intimate awareness of the realities facing Aboriginal people, the energy and humour in her writing, which draws freely on myth and legend, finds hope in the bleakest situations. Okay. Oh, this was shortlisted for the Miles Franklin and the Stella Prize. When did it come out? In 2023. Okay. Well. Oh. Okay. This edition was 2023. It was first published in 2013. I was like, surely I would have heard of it if it had come out in 2023. Okay. It came out in 2013. So yes, it would have been before I was following any of those prizes, etc. So no, I now have a copy of it so I can read it when I'm ready. Another book I found that I've heard about before, I can't remember where, but it's Ghost Town by Kevin Chen. It might have been when we were looking into books, because we have, in my Read Around the World book club, we have read from Taiwan, so maybe this was one of the books that we looked at the time, because this was the winner of a Taiwan Literature Award, so that's a good indication that he's from Taiwan. Okay, Keith Chen, the desperately yearned for second son of a traditional Taiwanese family with 5 daughters, refuses to play the role his parochial parents would cast him in. Instead, he chooses to make a life for himself in cosmopolitan Berlin, where he finally finds acceptance as a young gay man. The novel is set about a decade later on Ghost Festival, the day of deliverance. After Keith's release from a maximum security prison, he has nowhere to go but a home. With his parents gone, his siblings married, mad, on the lam, or dead, there is nothing left for him there, or so it seems. As he explores his uncanny hometown, we learn what tore his family apart, and more importantly, the truth behind the terrible crime Keith committed in Germany. Told in a myriad of voices, both living and dead, and moving through time with deceptive ease, Ghost Town is a mesmerising story of family secrets, countryside superstitions, and the search for identity amid a clash of cultures. Sounds really good. 3 more to go. I picked up a copy of Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. I really love the cover of this one. I think it's really beautifully designed. So well done to the designer of the cover of this book, who is Kira Elliott. Well done. Beautifully designed. Okay, it says, a wryly funny and compassionate story of love, family, and class. Pineapple Street follows 3 women in an old Brooklyn Heights clan. One who was born with money, one who married into it, and one who wants to give it all away. Darlie, the eldest daughter in the well-connected, carefully guarded Stockton family, has never had to worry about money. She followed her heart, trading her job and her inheritance for motherhood, sacrificing more of herself than she ever intended. Sasha, Darlie's new sister-in-law, has come from more humble origins, and her hesitancy about signing a prenup has everyone worried about her intentions. And Georgiana, the baby of the family, is falling in love with someone she can't and really shouldn't have, and must confront the kind of person she wants to be. Shot through with the indulgent pleasures of life among New York's 1%ers, Pineapple Street is a smart, escapist debut novel that sparkles with wit, full of recognisable, lovable, if fallible characters. It's about the peculiar unknowability of someone else's family, the miles between the haves and the have-nots, and the insanity of first love, all wrapped in a story that is a sheer delight. So that sounds really good. My pile's getting a little bit wonky. We persist. Uh-oh. That was almost a disaster. I almost just dropped that pile, and my cat is right below. Ooh. And would have had books toppling all over her, which we can't have. 2 to go. Enclave by Claire G. Coleman. This is a book that was longlisted, I think, for the Stella Prize maybe, or the Miles Franklin, a couple of years ago. When did it come out? I want to say like 2023 maybe, or 2022. 2022. So this is an Australian author, and it says, Christine could not sleep. She could not wake. She could not think. She stared half blind at the cold screen of her smartphone. She was told the agency, with a capital A, was keeping them safe from the dangers outside, an outside world she would never see. She never imagined questioning what she was told, what she was allowed to know, what she was permitted to think. She never even thought there were questions to ask. The Enclave was the only world she knew. The world outside was not safe. Staying or leaving was not a choice she had the power to make. But then Christine dared to start thinking, and from that moment danger was everywhere. In our turbulent times, Claire G. Coleman's Enclave is a powerful dystopian allegory that confronts the ugly realities of racism, homophobia, surveillance, greed, and privilege, and the self-destructive distortions that occur when we ignore our shared humanity, which sounds really good. And the last book that I picked up I think was quite a find. It is The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. Everybody was talking about this. Everybody. BookTube was talking about this book a lot last year. It came out in 2023. I believe Caroline O'Donoghue was an Irish writer, and everyone was talking about this book. It was all excitement. I got this for $5. I was excited to find it. So it says, The Rachel Incident is an all-consuming love story, but it's not the one you're expecting. It's unconventional and messy. It's young and foolish. It's about losing and finding yourself. But it is always about love. When Rachel falls in love with her married professor, Dr. Byrne, her best friend James helps her devise a plan to seduce him. But what begins as a harmless crush soon pushes their friendship to its limits. Over the course of a year, they will find their lives ever more entwined with the Burneses and be faced with impossible choices and a lie that can't be taken back. So yeah, it sounds interesting, and I was glad to find it secondhand. That's the haul, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments if you have read any of these and you think I should prioritize them on my TBR. Otherwise, I'll get to them when I get to them. But I'm excited to have them now in my collection. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.